Okay, so we're going to take a look at GED math, and specifically, we're going to study circles in this video. My name is John, and I'm the creator and founder of GEDmathlessons.com. It's a free GED math course, but I'll leave the link to that in the video and tell you a little bit in the video description and tell you a little bit more about it at the end of this video. But what I want to do here is to take your knowledge of circles and really kind of just upgrade it, okay? And specifically, we're going to be focusing on what you need to know for the GED. And we'll kind of start from the basics and do a few other things, and then we'll go from there. All right, so circle. All right, so obviously everyone knows what a circle is. Here is a circle. So let's start talking first about the parts of a circle that you need to be familiar with. So I'm going to kind of do a little pop quiz here for you. I'm going to write down the some abbreviations here, some letters. Now let's see if you kind of remember what they remember, what the words that go with. Okay, so I have a C, a D, and a R. Okay, so let's kind of, go back down memory lane and see what you remember about a circle. If you don't remember anything, don't worry about it, okay? All right, let's go ahead and start with the C, okay? So that's circumference. Circumference. And hopefully I'm spelling this okay. I'm good at math, but my spelling is not that great. Anyways, circumference. So what is circumference? Well, the circumference of a circle is nothing more than the distance around the circle. That's it. Okay. So imagine if you took a string or something like that, and you started here, and you kind of just took the string and you went around, and then you stopped right there. And then you took that string and then you laid it out. Okay. You kind of put it on the ground and you laid it out flat. Okay. Then you measured it. That length, okay, the length around the circle is what we call the circumference, okay? So that's what that is. And if you want to take some notes in your own words, I think that's good. But let's actually kind of do a little bit of that right now. Okay, so circumference is nothing more than the length around the circle. Pretty simple stuff. And I'll tell you something, math does not have to be complicated, but you do have to start from the beginning, right? And just build your knowledge up. Okay, so that's the circumference. Now let's talk about a couple other parts of the circle. Okay, so the next one would be the width of the circle. And we refer to that as the diameter. Okay, so now the diameter of the circle, there is actually infinitely many diameters. The width is always going to be the same no matter where I measure it. In other words, this right here, well, that's kind of like a poor representation of it. Let me draw a little bit better. Okay, is the width of the circle as well. So you can draw the width anywhere you want in the circle, okay? And also, it's going to bring us to something else. I'm not going to write it down here, but we do need to define it, that each circle does have a center, okay? So each circle does have a center point, and hopefully that's pretty close to the center. I'm kind of sketching here. So the diameter will always go through the center, and you can kind of draw it anywhere. But so diameter, let's kind of spell that diameter again. Diameter. Hopefully that is correct. I believe it is. So no spell check when you're writing things out. But basically the diameter of the circle is what? The width of the circle. The width of the circle. Now we need to understand the parts of the circle because we're going to have some formulas here that we're going to be using. Now let's talk about the next one, and that is the R. Okay, and that is the radius of the circle. Okay, now the radius starts from the center, okay, and it goes out to the side of the circle. Okay, that's a radius. And you could think of, if I took this radius and I kind of swooped it around, it would form the circle. It's very much like if you kind of think back, if you ever used a compass, and a compass is a little instrument, well, there's obviously a compass that finds north, south, east, west, but the compass also is the little things that you may have used in school. Okay, they look like this. You can open them up, and this has a little point to it, and this would have like a pencil to it, okay? And what you do, you hold this here, okay? You just hold that there, and this is for drawing circles, and then you spin it around, okay? And when you do that, it forms you actually form or you draw a circle, right? So you kind of like have a little pointy thing here, and then you turn this around, and then it draws a circle. So all this measurement here is the radius of the circle, okay? Now, the radius we technically define, okay, is actually one half of the diameter, okay? So you could kind of use it for your own words, okay? But we want to think of this as one half of the diameter. All right, so we got the circumference, the diameter, and then the radius. All right, now let's talk about some other parts of the circle here, okay? We'll keep our center there. And let's talk about if we had something like this, okay? Like a piece of, like a pizza slice, right? So what do we kind of call this? Well, we refer to this as a sector. Now, there's no abbreviation to it, but I'm just kind of building up your knowledge base. This is a sector of a circle right here, okay? Now, with the sector, okay, with the sector of a circle, we can do a few things with it, okay? When we're talking about circles, we could find the area of this part of the circle, or we can find the length from here to here, okay? We call this the arc length, okay? The arc length from here to here. So an arc is just part of the circumference. Part of the circumference is an arc, okay? I'm not going to get too much into that in this particular video, but I do want to give you like pretty much you know, a lot of the terms so you're familiar with them, just in case you see them again. I'm actually going to give you a few more here, okay? And this really does kind of get into like high school level geometry. So if you haven't seen these before, don't worry about it. But again, important stuff. Now, if I draw a line, let's say from this edge of the circle to this edge of the circle, just kind of just different color, from here to here, okay? So, and I could draw various lines just to go from one side of the circle to the other, okay? Maybe like this to this. These lines here, okay, notice they do not go through the center. These lines here we refer to as chords. Okay, these are chords, this one and this one. So if you hear that term, what's a chord of a circle, that's what it is. It's nothing but a line that connects the two sides. Now, there is another term here, okay, I'm going to draw it, and it's not part of the circle, but it's referred to with circles. I'm going to try to draw it the best I can here. Actually, that's pretty poor. Let me try to do it again. I'm kind of free sketching this. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Okay, so imagine a line, okay, and it touches a circle just at this one spot. Okay, you kind of have a line that just balances a circle just like this. We would refer to this as a tangent line. Tangent line. Okay, so you can draw these things down, the area, I'm sorry, the sector, arc length. Now you're going to have a real broad, you know, kind of vocabulary when it comes to circles. Okay. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here, because we're really talking about the GED, is kind of get you to be able to do a few things, few calculations when it comes to circles. Okay. So the first is we want to be able to find the circumference, okay, of the circle. All right, so we want to be able to calculate this. All right, the circumference of the circle. And the circumference of the circle is nothing more than the diameter times pi. The diameter times pi. Now, because the diameter is twice the radius, right? Because the radius is one half the diameter. So two radiuses together, let's think of it this way. Here's a radius and here's a radius. Together, they form the diameter, right? So 2 times the radius of a circle, let's do it this way. 2 times the radius of the circle is in fact the diameter. Okay, and we multiply it by pi, we also have the circumference. Now let's talk about this number pi here. This is extremely important in mathematics and when we're talking about circles. Pi is approximately, okay, approximately, and when we use the word we use these little squiggly lines. We don't use the equal sign, but it's approximately 3.14. Hopefully you kind of maybe remember that. And all this is the following, okay? If I take my circumference, remember this distance around, okay? And this is for any circle. If I take that circumference and I divide it by the diameter, okay? So for any circle you take the circumference and you divide it by the diameter, you take the length around the circle and you divide it by its width, you always, always, always get the same number. It's 3.14 on and on and on. Now, the reason why we give it this little crazy little symbol here, pi, is, and it's not PIE like a pie, it's PI. The reason why we give this this number a symbol, a variable, is because this number goes on and on and on and on and on. It never stops and it never repeats. So it goes on and it keeps going, and we just don't know what the next digit's going to be, and it goes off into infinity. So this is what we call a non-repeating and a non-terminating decimal. So it goes, the more digits I use of it, the more accurate my answers are going to be. So you know what? We just, when it comes to calculation purposes, just use 3.14 now as an approximate value for pi. Now in your calculator, okay, your basic scientific calculator, you can also pull up this value to how many digits your calculator screen can handle. Maybe it's like 9 or 10 or whatever the case is. Okay, so when we talk about formulas, we don't write the circumference as the diameter times 3.14. Okay, well, you'll never see that. You'll always use the variable pi. Okay, and it's this symbol here. All right. Okay, so enough about pi. So let's do a quick example problem here, and then we'll move on to something else. Okay, so let's suppose my diameter of this circle is, I don't know, 5 inches, okay, and I wanted to calculate the circumference, okay. I wanted to know what the distance around the circle is, okay. So all I would have to do is the circumference is equal to 5 times pi. It is really that simple, okay. Now I could actually replace this pi, okay, with 3.14, and you can get the decimal there. This calculation, 15 point whatever it is fine. But if you just wrote your answer as 5 pi, you would be correct, okay? But you may have to actually get a decimal approximation, so just replace the pi for 3.14 and you would do it. Now, there's something really important that I want you to remember here, and that is when you are calculating circumference, you're finding length, okay? So this distance here, the diameter, is distance. It's 5 inches, okay? So your circumference is also going to be in inches, so don't forget to write that. So the circumference here would be 5 pi inches, okay? All right, so let's move on to something else. So that's the circumference. Actually, let's do one more example here of circumference, but this time let's find it where we just have the radius. Okay, so let's say the radius we have is 3 inches. So we want to find the circumference, so we just use the other formula. So that's 2 times the radius times pi. So the circumference is 2 times 3 times pi, or the circumference is 6 pi inches, okay, long. And of course, you can replace the pi with 3.14 and get a decimal approximation. All right, this stuff is not hard, okay, but you got to start from the beginning. That's why I wanted to define the terms, etc. All right, let's talk about the next thing. Well, actually, this radius up here, and that is area. Area of a circle. The area of a circle is defined by this formula, pi r squared. Okay, now what is the area? What does that mean? Well, think of imagine you had like you wanted to do like a circle floor. Okay, put something like in your living room or in your bedroom, and you wanted to make that out of let's say a tile, the tile you would buy at like Home Depot, Lowe's, or whatever, and you wanted to try to figure out how many of those tiles you would have to buy to make this particular, to cover this distance, this whole area, okay? So how much of that you would have to cover in this covering concept is the concept of area, okay? So that is area. And I'll do more videos on difference between area, volume, surface area, etc. But that is what we're talking about, okay? The concept of area. Now to calculate the area for a circle, again, pretty easy. It's just pi r squared. So let's talk about how to actually calculate it in this example. So the area of the circle is going to be pi, which we already know is around 3.14. Now the radius is 3, okay? Now we have to square it. So what does this mean? 3 squared, okay? All that means is take the number there, 3, and multiply it by itself. 3 times 3, that's all it means, okay? So 3 squared is 9, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. So the area is going to be pi times 9. Now, it's appropriate in math to write the pi behind the number, okay? So this is technically okay, but we would want to write it as 9 pi. Now, I want to get to the units of measure here. Now, because our radius was in inches, our units of measure for area are not going to be in inches like our circumference was, okay? Inches are a measurement of length. Area measurements are always length squared. So if I'm measuring the radius in inches, my area is going to be in inches squared. Very, very important that you actually have the appropriate units of measure. Okay, so if you just gave me 9 pi without the units of measure, you would get points off, on a test or quiz. All right, so if you can calculate the area and you can calculate the circumference, 2r times pi. Okay, these two here, then you're going to be in good shape. And if you understand the various parts of a circle, you've really kind of upgraded your circle. This is probably going to cover a good chunk of what's going to be on the GED. Now let me go ahead and cover one more thing here. Okay, let's see if you can figure this out. So let's suppose I have this radius out here and I have this another radius here, okay? So we know it's 3 inches. And I said, you know what? I want you to find the area of this sector here, okay? And of course, remember a sector is like a pizza slice of the circle, okay? And I just defined that this is 1/4 of the circle, 1/4 of the circle, okay? How can we find the area of this sector? All right, and it has a radius 3. 3 inches this way, 3 inches this way. Okay. Any ideas? Well, let's go ahead and first find the area of the entire circle. Okay, so this is going to be what? Pi r squared. So we just got done doing this problem. If you remember, I'm just going to repeat it. That's going to be 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so the area is 9 pi inches squared. But that's the area of the entire circle. Okay. The area of the entire circle. Okay, I want the sector, okay? The sector is only 1/4 of the entire area. So if I take this guy here, the total circle, and divide it by 4, okay, I'm going to get 1/4 of the entire area, okay? So really that's going to be 9/4 pi inches squared is going to be the area of that sector, right? So a little bit of a bonus problem there. But again, if you understand all of this and kind of, oh, okay, I get that, then you probably got a good majority of what you're going to need to know in terms of circles on the GED. All right, so anyways, let me go ahead and wrap this up. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I try to do a ton of this stuff on my help you out there. Well, for those you don't know, I've been teaching math, 6th grade, college, on and on and on. Been doing this a long time. What I try to do really in my videos is distill down the most important things for those of you out there that kind of really need to learn this stuff quickly and just focus in on the most important stuff. Okay, and try to make it feel like you're not in a classroom. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and give me some feedback. I try to read as many comments as possible. And lastly, if you want to take my free GED math course, come on over to gedmathlessons.com. Check it out. And thanks for spending some time with me, and I wish you all the best. Take care.